Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, to episode number 20. Number 20 of the TrapHouse podcast. If I had the applause machine, I'd set it on extra applause because we fucking made it. We fucking made it. Episode number 20, folks. Don't even have a name for it yet. I haven't assigned a name to this cast. And that's it. So I haven't chosen a name for this podcast yet. I assume by the end of it I will have a name. But we all know what's in a name, don't we? God damn it, he looped it. He fucking looped it. But then again, I am just thinking out loud. I'm speaking. That's what thinking out loud technically means. I'm talking. I'm saying words. I'm bringing to light what was in my mind or what I had thought about. You do the same. Obviously. Or you'd be a mute. I don't know, just things I'm saying. Just words that I've perceived in my mind that make sense. So I say them. So how's it been going? How's this past week treated you? Any new news to report? Any new news? Have you made any life-changing, life-altering choices? Let me know. Seriously, let me know. This podcast is all about getting to know. Not just lying dormant. Not sitting down and saying, nah, it don't matter. That don't matter. I don't need to do nothing about that. Let me just push that off till next year, on January 1st, when I can set a resolution. Now, those who do that, good for you. At least you're putting forth the effort to set a resolution. However, you have and will always procrastinate on making decisions. Sometimes life-altering decisions. You procrastinate to make those decisions. I wouldn't know. I'm not you, but for those who do wait until the January 1 new year to change or to make wise choices, if that's the day you choose to make wise choices, what are you doing all the other days? How often is it that we get misguided by the ideas of others? And most times, especially nowadays, it's not really the ideas of others, but it's ideas that have been put into practice that have become routine that now cannot be questioned. Epiphany Chris is here to ask those questions. I'm here to ask questions that may shake the established thought path. Remember how I was tickling your thought in the episode prior? Now I'm going to shake the baby thought out of you. I'm going to shake a baby's worth of thought out. I'm going to shake baby syndrome the shit out of your thought today. I'm grabbing a hold of the sides of your thought and I am going to shake the shit out of it. Just head doesn't know where to go, arms are flailing, legs are flailing, and your thought is just like, what the fuck? I'm going to shaken baby syndrome your thought today. Just because. Do you remember ever being given the reason for why something must be done, and the reason was because? Anybody ever get that response as a legitimate reason to do something? Raise your hand and then point your finger down and hit that like button if you've ever heard the word because as a reasonable response for action or allegiance or capitalization. No matter how you look at it, have you ever heard the word because in response to your question why? Now, I know as a child, that used to be the go-to answer. That used to be the go-to thing. Any and all adults, it was like in their special handbook. I know how to get shit done around here. Just say because. And then later on, people started adding in because I said so. Now, I get it. A lot of the times, the people that are in charge or that are in rule or that have dominion over other humans, you can use that answer because I said so. Now, why haven't we questioned this? Why is it okay to use a conjunction as a reason? I'm just questioning things here, folks, and I'm doing it on your behalf. I'm doing it for you. I'm doing this because a lot of humans, we call ourselves humans, we've established ourselves way above the beings before us, so we've established ourselves as humans. Top of the food chain. We're top of the food chain. Yet, we use reasonings and we use one-word answers for reasonings to do or to not do something. But we're the top of the food chain. We are literally the smartest beings on planet Earth. And we use words like because for answers on why and how and what and why to do something. And I ask why. Simple question. Simple 3-lettered word. Why? I mean, if you can say because, I should be able to say why. Oh, excuse me. Boy, I really got to stop drinking too much water. I don't know, it makes me hydrated. All right, let's move on. Let's just fucking move on, please. Can we just move on? Can we please just move on from because? Why, you ask? Because. That doesn't feel good, does it? That type of response, or that type of reasoning, or even an answer to a question, is so silly. But also words are the silliest. For some reason, I believe, again, these are all facts in my opinions, folks. These are all facts in my opinion. Now, what I believe, or I can assume to believe, or I can just say I just get it, I guess, is we've been under rule for so long that simple answers are just, oh, okay. You want me to work 9 to 5, 40 hours a week? Well, why? Well, because. You want me to take out the trash at 2 a.m.? Well, why? Because. You want me to pay you what for what? Well, because. You're telling me the prices of everything are going up, but nobody's pay is changing? Why? Well, because. So I truly believe, here's the belief I wanted to set you up for with asking a couple just stupid questions. And remember, there's never any stupid questions. Only stupid answers. So you can't look at this as me. You cannot. It's impossible. But let me give you my core belief on the word because. We've assumed responsibility as human beings. Us, you, I, me, they, them. Anybody that's human, any body, any space body that is human, I have chosen to believe know the word because as some sort of very long expression of why something should be done or not done. So we assume, hey, the person telling me the word because knows what they're talking about. Or if they don't know what they're talking about, they may have experienced that experience. And that's why because is just such an easy response. And also such an easy thing to accept as the one being said to because. Why else would we adhere to this because answer? Excuse me. I had to clear my throat. There was a frog in there. There's a frog in my throat. I don't know where that expression come from, but I mean, somebody at one time may or may not have had an actual frog in their throat. And again, as humans, we just walk with it because we don't run anywhere. So because. Why do you believe what you believe, Epiphany Chris? Well, because. Because why? Because I said so. Moving on from that ridiculousness. Just know that because, in my factual opinion, is a retarded answer. It's a retarded reason for doing. Let's just use because for what it's for. It's a conjunction. It brings things together. It brings words together. It brings thoughts and ideas that have been written down on paper together. Because. Get a dictionary if you obviously can't follow along. Please. It's worth a read. Because knowing the meaning of words is very, very important. So now that we got that all out of the way, oh my goodness, wherever that came from, thank goodness it's over. Thank goodness. Can we get back to the episode now, please? Can we please get back to the fucking episode? All right, I got you. Last week, and I know it was last week because I'm really trying to give it. I'm really trying to give it all I got. I'm trying to give it all I got for the TrapHouse podcast. So I know it's been 1 week since the last episode. And last week I had asked for you all to think about. Here's something to think about: cavemen, Neanderthals. And I just threw those two words out there for you to think about. And now that some time has passed, I'd like to know what you thought. Because obviously, you know, at this point in the show, I tell you what I thought. And I'll tell you this. As it pertains to me and how I think, when I heard the word cavemen, what I thought was idiot. What I thought was no clothes. What I thought was, how did they shower? What I thought was, how did they get their hair done so well? I thought, well, what kind of shoes they wear? I thought, cavemen, how big was their cave? Where were all these caves that men and cave women got together in? When I heard cavemen, I thought One Piece. Like cavemen, I just thought like One Piece, like they covered up their junk in the crack of their ass. I thought cavemen, fire. I thought cavemen, the wheel. I thought cavemen, primitive being, the being before human. I thought, how did they get around? I thought, how did they make children? I thought all these things, and then I thought about the word Neanderthal. And I was to assume they were the same thing. They're the same thing. But, I mean, obviously I'm wrong about 90% of the time. You know what, let me just tell the truth. I'm wrong about 99% of the time. I literally just am wrong. So when I thought about Neanderthal, I thought weird shaped face and head. I thought not even primitive. Like before primitive. When I thought Neanderthal, I thought, I mean, what the fuck? They're short. When I think of, I don't really think much more different thoughts from caveman and Neanderthal. Really, the two, they're similar. They're very, extremely similar to me. Obviously, I don't do no research. I'm not trying to, break ground on some new finding. I'm not trying to find something new about them. I'm just very interested in people thinking. So I'm gonna shake the baby out of your thought, and let's just ask some questions, and then maybe we'll find out an answer. Maybe. Cavemen, did they have thought? Were they thinking? Neanderthals, were they a thinking being? Were they able to think? Now, I'm thinking about a caveman, and I gotta stop my little bit of an outline here, is because I think a caveman, and a good majority of the time that I think about these cavemen and women, and trans cavemen men and women, I guess, I don't know, I just like to be all inclusive, like hotels. But when I think of a caveman, I think of fire. We were told that the caveman invented fire, or found out that fire was something. I also think that another one of the things that all I know about a caveman is that they somehow created a wheel, like the first wheel. Now here's my question. Since I've broken off a little bit, here's my question. What about the cavemen and Neanderthals before fire and before the wheel? The beings that existed before they found out these two things. Also, cavemen. The word caveman. Caveman, cavemen, cavewomen, cave whatever. Why cavemen? Cavewomen? Is it because they lived in caves? Is it because that's where they found their housing? Maybe. So let's get back to it. Now, were they capable of thought? Now, what I presume to be facts from my opinion is maybe. Maybe they had some thought. It couldn't have been too exponential. It couldn't be thought that was educated in any way. There could have been absolutely no educated thought at all. Because education obviously probably was, then probably wasn't even a word. Right? Right. So I think, what kind of thoughts were these cavemen and cavewomen having? It almost seems jumbled when I think about the thoughts that they would have. Almost like, if in fact they had thought, how did they hear it? How did they understand the thoughts that they were having? If in fact, language didn't exist. Because you got to remember, we are talking about cavemen before fire, before the wheel. How about this? We're not talking about like the first cavemen. We're going to talk about what about, let's see, 200 of years of being cavemen and cave people, cave women, cave, whatever, however you want to put the cave, whatever you want to put behind cave, then that's what you put behind cave. Just don't seek attention for it, because that is retarded. So we're talking about cavemen and women 200 years after they were cavemen and women. What kind of thoughts were they actually having? I can't really believe that they were having any type of, not even like a train of thought. So like not even a train of thought, not even like a walkathon of thought. There was nobody walking for their thought. There was nothing in movement for thought during cavemen. So then I asked the question to myself, how did they communicate? 200 years of being this being that can stand up and walk on what appear to be two legs. And they're all ugly as fuck. They're all fucking ugly as fuck. They didn't have no running water. They didn't have no heat source. They didn't have, they didn't even know to bathe. They probably didn't even know what to bathe means. So they're ugly as fuck. They probably stunk. And then how did they communicate? How did they communicate with each other to continue being cavemen? Again, just asking some questions. And then, if you're a caveman, what'd you do when you had to use the bathroom? Did you just go wherever? You had the urge and you just went? But also, in order to have to use the bathroom, you would have had to eat something, right? You would have had to eat something? You would have had to put something in your body to regain nutrients, to get nutrients for your body. Everybody knows how you need to eat, right? So just asking questions here, folks. If there was no thought, there couldn't have been any type of thought there could have been none. There could have been zero thought that was knowledgeable. And if so, how could it have been? If in fact there was no knowledge. So I ask, how do they communicate with each other? I've heard this, but is it true that the man would just walk around with a club and just hit people with it? I'm fucking this thing. She look pretty. Ugh. So or does he walk around and, just hit the tree and, wood comes out of it. Ugh. I picture this big fucking Fred Flintstone looking motherfucker, just all droopy, low hanging shoulders because they didn't do anything. What did they do? They had no thought, so they had to be real long in the face trying to, process thought. Imagine this. Imagine trying to process thought and having a stroke at the same time. That's kind of like what a caveman would be. Because you can't process thought when your body is doing things that you have no idea what it's doing, right? So I gotta ask myself, how'd they communicate? You got this big oaf. How would they even have body weight? Because in order to hunt, you had to have some sort of thought. And if you didn't know what hunger was, right? If you didn't know what hunger was, how do you know what to do with that knowledge? Your body says you need this, but you don't even know what knowing or words or thought or anything is. It's like, how do we know so much about these cavemen, but at the same time, this question needs to be asked. Where and how did they process thought? Now, they call them cavemen. Again, I ask, is it because maybe they lived in caves? Probably. I'm pretty sure the Property Brothers didn't exist back then. There was no fucking rich housewife trying to sell him a condo on the west side. Nobody was trying to live in a suburbia home. So I guess they lived in caves? Again, I gotta ask. I have to ask the question. How did they know to live in a cave. So if you have no thought, right? You have no thought, and you have no way to process thought, and you have no way to communicate the thoughts or even to think out loud, to process any of the thought coming in. How would they know to avoid weather, to live in a cave? How would they know to do that? Why would they choose a dark, unknowable place as home? Now, I get it. You could say we've evolved. We learn things. We do. I believe it. Sure. How do you learn if learning is not a thing at the time? How could they even innovate? How is it that zero thought, zero ability to communicate, how is it that they were able to innovate? And if we had evolved and we had lived lives of different beings at different times, if that's what happened, how is it that through each species we didn't learn something about that species, right? So it's like when you turn to the next species or the next being, when you turn into that next being, all you did was go from a water-dwelling animal to a land-dwelling animal. And now we're trying to go to space-dwelling animals. And then from there, what? I don't know. Look, just asking questions. Just seriously, just asking some questions. But how did they think? How were they able to communicate that thought? And how would they know to live in caves? If you had no knowledge of what pain was, if you had no knowledge of what weather was, if you had no knowledge of, hey, this wet stuff from the sky, what is that? You know, there's no way to know those things. It's impossible. It's impossible to have known something that was never known. Right? Now we could say, hey, it's raining. We need to get our umbrella to walk 10 feet into Walmart. We need special waterproof galoshes to do certain things. We need this, we need that. We've figured out how to produce and be creative. We've figured all that out, but my question literally is, how is it that, again, something came from nothing? How did thought start? How did communication start? How did we start to figure all that stuff out? As cavemen. If in fact there was no knowledge to consume. And why, again, do we only know about cavemen after fire? I mean, that's really the prominent thing, right? How do we even know that's how it all went down? Nobody was fucking there. It's just so silly. Words. And the ability to put a bunch of them together to ask questions. So Neanderthals, so since cavemen did all these great things, with no knowledge available. Such great things. Now you have to ask, now I ask myself these things too. Now Neanderthals, this was pre-cavemen. This is like the pre-cum to the cum. They were pre-being. They were pre-human. They were pre-cavemen. They were the pre. Now, how in the fuck did they just survive? How did they survive? It's crazy to ask this question because here's a rabbit fucking trail for all you great listeners out there. How, in fact, did the Neanderthal, who had literally no clothes, no internet, no way of staying warm, no way of knowing anything, no way of communicating. There was no way to possibly survive. Well, what do you mean? Here's what I mean. Nowadays, and I'm bringing it back to the present. I know I'm 600,000, 700,000, I don't know, maybe I'm 440 million years in the past, but I'm bringing it to the present now. I'm bringing it to the present, just for a quick, brief moment. If you had thought about cavemen, and then if you think just for a second, I'm shaking your fucking thought, you hear it? You hear your thought crying a little bit because I'm baby shaking it? I'm shaking your fucking thought a little bit. Now we are in the present. Think this. Where do most humans live? In a house? No way. You're telling me human beings live in houses? I'm not buying it. It's more like a cave. Your own personal cave. These are facts brought to you by Epiphany Chris. But again, we're in the present, right? So you live in a cave. You have literally the ability to have everything you need to survive. You have all of it. You truly do. Yet. Oh yes, there's a yet. Yet, human beings, if they were to go without one meal during the day, use these words: I'm starving. Human beings who didn't have the ability to take a shower for one day, I feel disgusting. I'm so dirty and gross. Human beings nowadays, present time, if the internet goes out, literally lose their fucking minds. But as we know, we're going back to the 400 million year mark. We're going back 400 million years or 40 million years or whenever the fuck the cavemen and the Neanderthal existed. Now you got to understand that word exist, because it means to live under adverse conditions. I believe that cavemen and Neanderthals existed. I believe they existed. That's a fact, in my opinion. Let's come back to the present. Ask yourselves, please ask yourselves, what the fuck is going on with human beings today? I'll tell you this. I have had it. I've had it up to here. You've heard that saying, I've had it up to here. But I seriously am saying this. I've had it up to here. With all this fucking nonsense in the world today. I don't have this. I need that. What am I gonna do? I don't know what I'm gonna do. Look at me, please. Somebody look at me. I can't. I'm starving. My back hurts. I am so sick of hearing shit like that. Because I've thought about cavemen and Neanderthals. Again, folks, thanks for joining me on the Here's Something to Think About special about cavemen and Neanderthals. Thank you so much. So much appreciated. So much appreciation goes out to all those who listen and have free thought. Now let me ask you this. For next week, here's something to think about. What is the end game for humanity? Yes, I'll say it again for those who don't rewind. What is the end game for humanity? So silly. The ability to just even be able to ask a question, right? It's just crazy. Do a lot of us take the ability to do something as easy as ask a question for granted? Do a lot of us take that ability for granted? Or for granted, like some people say? Do we, or have we, been spending this such precious time? Now I get it. You haven't heard me talk about time enough, so I'm gonna just do it for a little bit more. I want to talk about time for just a little bit more. We have time, right? We do. I do. You do. So let's just literally speak on how human beings have been spending time. Now I get it. There are 7 billion humans. Probably way more than that now. Because people love to fuck and make babies. It's a thing. I don't know. But we all got time to do that, and we have time to sit here and discuss what humans do. So let's boil it down for a little bit. Philip's here today, and he's giving a shout out. Go ahead. You said you had to shout somebody out. All right. He's going to give a quick shout out. Why are you mentioning that on this podcast? What? You know that's not what we do here. This is the TrapHouse podcast. This ain't your mom's basement. We ain't playing mind. Look, that's not what we do with our time here, Philip. Our time's precious. So precious. And you're going to spend it talking about... Oh, come on, dude. Come on. Get with the fucking program. You were here. Your baby didn't get shook? I didn't shake your baby a thought? Well, you know, Phil, I can't say it enough, man. You got to focus on you. You are the main priority. You are. Because once you realize that fact, you will be able to do great things. That's it, man. That's it. You got to be able to focus. You have to focus. All right, let's keep this going, yeah? Let's keep doing it. We're going to do it. And we're going to do it right. Because this is you heard what Philip said. He shouted out, I'm not going to repeat it, but he shout, and then it's like this one human, spends his time on this computer game thing, and I mean, like 2 or 3 hours. What'd you say? Like 2 or 3 hours a day the other day? That's what you play. So he spends 2 or 3 hours a day on this. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. He just puts blocks on blocks, and then those blocks become a bigger block, and then that's how time is spent. So let's just dive into some things humans do with their time. Well, let's see. A good majority of your life you spend laying on a cushioned mattress. Has to, maybe a cushioned mattress, maybe not a cushioned mattress. Maybe it's on the floor. Maybe it's in a dirt pile somewhere. Maybe you're wrapped up in a tarp. But we spend a good majority, some would say 1/3, because if you sleep 8 hours, you spend 1/3 sleeping and resting and not saying a word. 1/3 of it. 1/3 you spend not even existing. You spend 1/3 of your life not even existing. Just starting off. Just starting out. 1/3 of your life you're basically unconscious, but conscious. So that's what humans do. What else do humans do? Humans work or have jobs or take their they take their special gifts and talents and they use them for the greater good. So there's one whole more third, because that's literally only if you, as a human, if you work a normal, a normal 9 to 5 or whatever. So there's the other 1/3 of your life as a human. So 2/3 already gone. 2/3 are already gone. So you got one more third of life. One more third of time. One more third of humanity. One more third of the ability to do. One more third of... You ask, what do I do with this time? Now, there are other humans who say, how can I manipulate other humans into giving me their time? That has to be a thing. That has to be a thought that's had at some point, somewhere in time. For those of you who have those thoughts, go fuck yourself. Oh, well, you know what? No, don't go fuck yourself. Go die. Because the manipulation of time out of the hands of another is robbery. That's theft at the highest level. And then to manipulate it is even worse. So just go die. Now, these are strong facts today, in my opinion, folks. And guess what? These are things that humans do. Humans have thought, how can I make money off of a fetus? Humans have thought, how can I make money off of this naked girl dancing on a pole? Humans have thought, how can I jump from this bridge and just barely not touch the ground under it? Humans have thought, how can I cure this ailment? Humans have thought, what's in a name? Humans have thought, we've convinced them of spending 8 hours of their time at a place that is not their own to work for what we call money, so they can buy the things that other humans are good at making and creating. How can we get more of their time? And I'll tell you what, they're winning. They've succeeded. They're succeeding at taking your time. They've succeeded. They've convinced you that money is worth something, so that you can earn it by giving time. You give your time, you give your time away all day to things that are frivolous and literally have no meaning. I suggest and I encourage you, like I like to do here at the TrapHouse podcast, is to encourage you to think. And if I have not, in fact, shaken the baby thought out of you. I'm just shaking the baby of thought. And I would appreciate it if you just thought. To say humans do great things, I would be, if I didn't say it, I would be remiss. So I will say it. Humans do great things. They do. However, what's next? Humans are great. Humans are great. Humans also are very, very oblivious. Because there are things that take your time and attention away from you. So how could you possibly be you if your time is spent on everyone else and everything else? Again, like I said, encouragement is number one priority here at the TrapHouse podcast. So I encourage you to just take some of that time back for you. Take some of that time back for you. I mean, if they can add and subtract time 2 times a year, can't you just reach out? Why can't you just go grab some of your time and get it back? Okay, here we go. Go save some time. Go out there and save some time. You know, they always say, oh, we'll save you $60, but you got to buy this. How about this? How about you just go out and save time? Cut out the things that you don't really need or that you think you want. Again, folks, these are all just facts, in my opinion. But without further ado, I must say these words. And these words I'm about to say are very, 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 very important. These words are so important. If, in fact, there is one thing that you do today, do this or do that. But what I encourage you all to do, here are the words. Just, and these are the words. There's only 2 words, but I'm saying just as a pretext, okay? Just so you know. But here are the words. Just be you. Stay positive, everybody. Remember to make wise choices, like Mom always says. And just always be reminded also, these are all just facts, in my opinion. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.